And we knew, the white kids would get on the bus and they had water. And in my mind was like, why? Because when you're little, you don't see race until you hit about middle school. And then, your things would come out, oh, you're a brownie. You live down there where they use outhouses.
Muskingum County is one of Ohio's many Appalachian counties. Like all of Appalachia, this region is known for its sparse population, lack of infrastructure, mining contamination, contrasted by its natural beauty and proud residents with a history of oral storytelling. Right along I-70, which splits Muskingum County in two, you'll find a small neighborhood of families, most of whom are related. This is Coal Run Road, located in the county seat of Muskingum County, Zanesville, Ohio. Individuals of all races have the right to access public utilities, such as clean water, provided by local governmental entities as afforded by the 14th Amendment and the Fair Housing Act. The African American residents of the Coal Run neighborhood in Zanesville, Ohio, who were systemically and intentionally denied public water for over 50 years, serves as a microcosm for rights protected and rights denied to minority communities nationwide. The 14th Amendment has always been used to secure and protect the rights of minority populations facing discrimination in America, and has been cited in a plethora of historical cases. Some of the more well-known cases include Plessy v. Ferguson, Brown v. Board of Education, Loving v. Virginia, Roe v. Wade, and Obergefell v. Hodges. While these cases are important, so is the lesser-known case of Muskingum County, Ohio, Kennedy v. City of Zanesville. Beginning in the 1950s, the predominantly black and mixed-race families of Coal Run and Langan Lane frequently requested public water access extension into the neighborhood, but were repeatedly denied. This forced residents to file a lawsuit against the City of Zanesville in 2002, leading to a 6-year-long civil rights case demanding their right to safe water and the local government's responsibility to provide it. During the actual trial in 2008, Muskingum County and City of Zanesville water officials stated numerous reasons they were not responsible for providing water. For example, there was a lack of available taps into existing water lines, insufficient water pressure, and a constant issue with funding a project that included the neighborhoods of Coal Run and Langan Lane. In fact, defendants stated that the more sparse the population, the higher the fees for all involved, including residents and the water authority, especially as the initial cost was estimated at $3.5 million for bringing water into the neighborhoods. Defendants also testified that they didn't collect enough tap fees from Coal Run and Langan Lane residents to meet their goal to move forward with a water line expansion into the neighborhoods. Conversely, residents stated that the lack of public water forced them to rely on springs, wells, and cisterns, as the water was rife with heavy metal contamination, sulfuric acid, and a myriad of harmful minerals from the defunct coal mine in the direct area of the neighborhoods, which supported their assertion that local governments were accountable for providing clean water to the neighborhoods. Plaintiff Mark Hale testified that the Ohio Department of Mines condemned wells in the Coal Run and Langan Lane area due to mine contamination in the decade preceding the trial. Through the years, residents testified to attending meetings at the township, the water department, as well as speaking directly with employees at the local water authorities demanding their right to clean water. Many remember signing petitions for water line extension into the neighborhood of Coal Run and Langan Lane. Lead plaintiff Jerry Kennedy testified that, in the 1970s, a bunch of us, my aunts and them, put up $10 to show that they was in good faith of starting to get water. Despite this, authorities argued that the number of customers willing to commit was not sufficient to justify the expense of the project. Over the course of the trial, the 68 plaintiffs told anecdotes of life relying on hauled water, cisterns, and rainwater. Members of the Martin family, consisting of 10 people, for example, recalled dipping a bucket into a well, pulling it out with a rope, and dumping it into a bug-infested cistern. Jerry Kennedy also testified that he would often get water for free in jugs from a local cemetery. Kennedy also outfitted one truck with a swimming pool liner to haul water more efficiently. It wasn't just adults whose lives were impacted by not having public water access. Indeed, Carolyn Martin Page testified that she and her siblings suffered embarrassment from growing up emptying slop jars, sharing bath water heated on the stove, visiting friends' house in order to bathe, and avoiding having friends over because they would have to use the outhouse or a night pot.
And when I was on the stand, I said, it's like the ice cream truck to little kids. Who's getting the water? Who's getting the one half and who's getting the other half? Is he coming here? Mom, is he coming here? And Mom wouldn't want to answer us because she didn't want to break our hearts.
Yeah.
And you'd watch them go back up the hill, and then you just do.
The residents of Coal Run and Langan Lane recounted inflammatory statements allegedly made throughout the years, hinting that their right to public water access was not denied because of a lack of funding or availability of water taps. Plaintiff Nancy Kennedy testified that she overheard a water authority representative use a racial slur while stating they would never have running water. Moreover, one of the 68 plaintiffs stated that where the white people stopped, the water stopped. And several residents recounted hearing a county commissioner state that the area would not have water until President George W. Bush dropped spiral bombs in that holler, and that, perhaps, the grandchildren of Coal Run and Langan Lane residents would see water in the neighborhoods. The plaintiffs also proved that public water lines were taken 15 miles east of the neighborhood and 15 miles south from the neighborhood during the decades they were asking for their right to clean water. In fact, a county commissioner even testified that he and his wife called every resident in a village more than 15 miles from Coal Run, which was only a mile from the water plant, to gauge interest in public water. After a 6-week trial and 2 weeks of deliberation, the jury found the defendants in violation of the 14th Amendment Equal Protection Clause and the Fair Housing Act because of discrimination solely on the basis of race, and wholly responsible for providing the 68 plaintiffs with water. The Fair Housing Act was violated based on the systemic and prolonged refusal to provide clean water, a basic service, by the local water authorities. Additionally, the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment was also breached on the basis that the residents were denied public services afforded to predominantly white communities in Muskingum County. While the plaintiffs were awarded several $1 million, much of that was consumed by attorney fees and taxes. Even though they legally won the lawsuit and actually received public water in 2008, local reactions were mixed on whether the verdict was just. Former water superintendent for the city of Zanesville, Robert Pletcher, stated,
"If it wasn't racially motivated, it was twisted into it."
In letters to the editor to the local newspaper, one writer stated, "This trial is about greed and stupidity, not race." And, $10.6 million, I wonder where that's going to come from. Whereas other residents wrote, "I am not shocked. They requested water for years. Also, congratulations to the residents of Coal Run Road. Justice has been served." In spite of this 2008 legal victory, predominantly black, brown, and indigenous communities throughout the United States still face systemic discrimination and are denied the right to clean water access. In fact, the probability of drinking water violations are significantly greater in communities that are poorer and non-white. This fact is evident all across the United States, being serious problems in places such as Flint, Michigan, Navajo Nation in Arizona, New Mexico, and Utah, Syracuse, New York, and Beaumont, Texas. Kennedy v. City of Zanesville serves as an important microcosm of the discrimination minority communities still face 61 years after President Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act and nearly 60 years after the signing of the Fair Housing Act. While the 14th Amendment in the Fair Housing Act protects the rights of citizens of all race and ethnicity, it is the responsibility of the local, state, and national authorities to protect these rights and advocate on behalf of the minorities most affected. As the Kennedy v. City of Zanesville victory demonstrates, however, it is too often left to courageous individuals, such as the residents of Coal Run and Langan Lane, to fight relentlessly for their own rights.